Hi everyone, this week we are talking about Woodburn's signature system called the China Roadmap, which is a 9-stage process for companies that are looking to go into the Chinese market to implement in order to make sure that they avoid the most common obstacles and roadblocks that happen to foreign investors as they're entering the Chinese market. As an old timer in China who's been doing business for over 17 years, trust me, there are many roadblocks and obstacles that can plop along your journey that you never even predicted or were aware that could possibly happen. And when these roadblocks and challenges pop up, what happens is that your focus is taken away from the business in order to fix issues and fix problems and to eliminate those roadblocks from that journey. And that period of time, which can be anything from a couple of days of fixing to months, if not years, can cause you to not scale up at the speed that you wish to. So in the last 5 days, I've been talking about the 5 superpowers that you need to achieve in order to make sure you have a smooth journey and in order for you to create a solid China roadmap. Today, we're going to be talking about superpower number 6. So in yesterday's video, I was talking a lot about evaluating your assets, protecting your business, you as an entrepreneur leader going into the Chinese market. Superpower number 6 is about standard operating procedures. You can evaluate what assets are important to you, but nothing beats actually executing the protection that is needed for those assets. So what do I mean by this? Again, we're talking about milestone number 2, which is implementation. So it's actually executing and implementing those system processes, those standard operating procedures, those SOPs to make sure that whatever you're doing in the Chinese market, whether it's simply transacting, whether it's actually having a company and running it, you need to make sure that you are actually implementing and executing the protection methods that are advised. Now, what are the protection methods? So one is very simply creating management directives for the senior personnel that you're going to have on the ground or the senior personnel that are going to be in your head office running the China business. It's creating standard operating procedures for all aspects of your supply chain, whether that's negotiations with suppliers, whether it's negotiations with customers, creating discount guidelines so that your team is fully aware of what they can do without you and where they need to get approval from. Because what you want is to also create a smooth transactional system, right? Not that everybody, you have to delegate at some point. So you need your team to be able to also make decisions quickly and on their own, but they need guidance to know at what levels they can do that. What are the thresholds to be able to do that? So you might also need to have standard operating procedures for your marketing division, for your BD division, sales division, customer service division, supplier division. If you're offering services, then again, it's with your customers. What are the SOPs like? What are internal guidelines as well within your organization between the communication of your finance team, your HR team, whomever else? And again, these can be your teams in your head office. It's not necessarily the teams that are on the ground that you're formulating. If you don't have an entity in China, then it would be the teams that are abroad where you need to have system processes to make sure this is efficient, right? We need to optimize the procedure with a focus of protecting the business. So one is creating these standard operating procedures that are used internally, having this booklet available to the team that is responsible for the China business. And then also having management directives to know, for your management to know, again, what are their own thresholds, right? Where do they need to get approvals? Then if you do have an entity on the ground, but even if you don't, it's doing frequent health checks and internal audits. What do I mean by this? If you have an entity on the ground, it's doing health checks to know that your company is in compliance, that you can sleep at night knowing that everything is in order, basically, and that you are, safe with the Chinese government, knowing you're doing your taxes, you're following HR protocols, everything is in order in terms of the processes that are occurring internally. But having an external eye being placed on that by experts on the ground is vital. Then the other thing is, if you're only doing transactional business in China, it's doing health checks on the partners that you're using on the ground, whether it's service providers, whether it's doing, I don't know, frequent background checks on your customers to make sure that they can continually pay you, whether that's looking at your suppliers and vetting them continuously, making sure that the quality never deteriorates and everything is in order. And then it's also talking and getting advice from external parties, because regulations change often enough, and you will have to update your standard operating procedures to match the newest regulations that are popping up. If you are in the cosmetics sector, there are new regulations that are popping up almost every other month in regards to that industry and sector specifically, which means that you will have to change your SOPs to be able to abide by that. If you have been following the new privacy regulations and personal information data regulations,